Today's video we're going to be talking about how to answer questions on a history test. These tests will include, a district test, star test, really any test that uses really complex questions. I've created a system for it to help you guys. I think it's the easiest way to kind of approach a question, especially a question you don't know. Instead of just blindly guessing, this is a way to guess with pretty much great accuracy. So before we get into the system, we have to understand what the test is trying to do. Well, a history test is trying to make sure that you know important people, places, times, and events. I put these in quotation marks because you have to understand that they decide what is important. Whoever the test maker is. So if it's the star test, it's the state of Texas gets to decide what is important. You might think that it's important that Jamestown survived by eating each other. But the state of Texas says that it's important that you understand that Jamestown was the first permanent English colony in the New World founded in 1607. I think the other one's more interesting, but that's not what the state agrees with. So, they're trying to make sure that you know the important people, places, times, and events. They're trying to make sure that you understand these things in context. What does that mean? In context. It means that you have a good working knowledge of this stuff, that you know more than just a name and a date and, just things that you can really easily just look up at the last minute. But instead that you understand what happened during events and how they relate to each other. And the more that you see these questions, the more that you'll understand it. They don't care that you know about the southern colonies and the middle colonies. They care that you understand how those two related or how they were different. Well, the test taker, what the test maker is trying to do is they're trying to trick you. They're trying to frustrate you and ultimately make you just give up on the question and just guess. If you do that, they will be happy. They will be happy if they tricked you. They will be happy if they frustrate you. And they will ultimately be happy if they make you just give up and guess. A history test is a test of mental discipline. What is mental discipline? That is being able to stay focused on the test and focused on a process. If you have mental discipline, you don't easily get discouraged. You kind of just go through the steps and remain on task. Mental discipline becomes easier with the process. Math questions are easy or easier when you have a formula. What I'm trying to do is give you a formula to solve history questions. This is going to be WITS. What is the question asking? That's the first part. That's all this video is going to talk about today. I'll have videos for the others, but first we need to master this part. So, because if you don't know what the question is asking, then, there's no point going on. So, what is the question asking? So, what is the real question? And you'll see this in a minute, that these tests don't tend to actually ask you any questions. What people, places, times, or events are they asking you about? If you understand these, it becomes a lot easier to answer the question. Then in later videos we'll talk about the next step, importance, then true, false, and significance, which is different than importance for those of you who know what those two words mean. So, here I have a collection of star test questions from tests from 2013, 14, 15, and last year's star test 2016. I happen to start with question 1. However, if you look through here, you'll notice that they are not in order. There's just kind of a random collection of them. It seems random, but I'm trying to present you with easier tasks, easier questions to transfer into questions. Questions to transfer into questions, and then tougher ones at the end. So what is our job for today? Figure out what the question is asking. If you don't know the question, it gets really hard to answer it. So even if you feel like you don't know the topic, Even if you feel like you don't know anything about the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution and how it affected the lives of African Americans, you need to at least understand what the question is asking. And then from there, I can get you to this part. So we're just going to be dealing with what this area in blue is called a question stem. We're just going to be dealing with question stems today. We're not going to be dealing with answer choices. So we'll deal with stems and then graphs and text, which you'll see in graphs, text, and images, which you'll see in later questions. So the first question is, the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution affected the lives of millions of African Americans by. Do you see a question mark? No, because it's technically not a question. How do you answer something that's technically not a question? I have no idea. So what we're going to do is make it a question. Are we going to do that by just adding a question mark, by blank? I mean, you can, but that doesn't provide you any information on what the question wants you to know. The question wants you to know how the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution affected the lives of, do you care that's millions? Could have been billions, could have been 1, could have been 20, it doesn't matter. How did it affect the lives of African Americans? Now, hopefully this is a question that we all understand. How did this affect that? You might not know what 13th Amendment is. You probably know what an African American is. But the question is really just a simple question. How did this affect that? It was cold. How did that affect your wardrobe? You wore a jacket. Alright, next kind of question. Oh, I'm sorry. So real fast, this kind of question is a rephrase question. All we're trying to do is rephrase the question. So we're figuring out what the question is asking. For question 1, we rephrased it. We put it in our own words. This next question is going to be a fill in the blank. We're not going to have to really rephrase the question. We're going to have to truly figure out what the question is, because the question is just a blank in a chart. So if we look down here for question 4, see it says, which of the following best completes the diagram above? There's a question mark. It's a question, except that question doesn't provide us with any information. Here's what provides us with the information. It's this chart. So the question is actually this question mark right here. What does this question mark mean? That's the question. Look, I can erase this. What does the big question mark mean? Or stand for? So, you have to understand how different graphs work to be able to answer these history questions. This is called a Venn diagram. If it's in this box, it belongs to Texas. If it's in this box, it belongs to California. I know some of you guys are laughing because I just call these circles boxes. If it's in this circle box, it belongs to both Texas and California. So what does the big question mark stand for? It's not the question. The question is, what does Texas, I can't type, and Cali have in common? Okay, you might not know the answer to this question, but we all understand the question, right? What does football and basketball have in common? That's what they're asking, because it's in this box. This is what football has, this is what basketball has, this is what they have in common. That was a fill in the blank question. The next is the key to the text or image. Alright, if you get a picture, you need to understand the picture. Don't move on until you understand the picture. So, we can read the question, or the question stem here. The innovation shown in this photograph most affected the United States economy by... There's no question. So, we need to kind of form it in a question, figure out what the key is. Well, let's say we don't know what innovation is. It's very possible you don't know what innovation means. Let's just strike through it. Let's just say blank. The blank shown in the photograph most affected the United States economy by blank. Okay. Well, let's use our two eyeballs. What's in this photograph? Don't get too specific. Don't trick yourself. Keep it simple. It's a boat. It's a ship. So, how did boats affect the U.S. economy? We might not know the answer, but we understand the question. Hopefully by now we've done 3 of these. You understand that the goal is to make you understand what the question is. So 23 is another fill in the blank. And again, for these, if there's a chart, you have to understand what the chart stands for. So something like this means this is a main point, and these are all things that go to the main point. So I could change this to ice cream flavors, and this would be, strawberry right here, chocolate right here, and what would go here? Very good, Rocky Road. So which of the factors best completes this diagram? Well, that's not really the question. There's a question mark, but that's not the question. The main point is factors that contributed to early industrialization in the United States. So we have 2 of them. So this is true, this is true. So we're looking for a third factor that contributed to early industrialization in the United States. You might not know it, but at least you understand the question. So, the next one, question 52. This one you should kind of know. But it's complicated because you have to understand the chart. It's fill in the blank question. These are some of the most difficult ones. It's about the Puritans. So, the Puritans are something we've already talked about. You can look through your notes if you want to try and answer this one. Feel free. But the chart, how does this chart work? Well, this, and then there's an arrow. What do arrows normally mean? It means that it turned into or became or affected this. So this box affects this box, which then affects this box. So the Puritans established communities in colonial New England, which then created the idea or affected this idea that the Puritans held town meetings to deal with community issues, which then blank. So if the answer choice doesn't relate to this box and this box, or if it doesn't come from this box and this box, it's not right. So for instance, the Puritans allowed women to participate in government. This might be true, this might be false, but this doesn't have anything to do with establishing communities in colonial New England, building towns, and holding meetings. It just doesn't. Puritans outlawed slavery in Massachusetts. I don't know. That'd be really nice if they did, but it doesn't have anything to do with building towns and holding meetings. So now we're between G and F. Well, we've already talked about representative self-government. There you go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop this video here. I can only record 15 minutes at a time. For more, please click on video 2 to continue. Thank you.